So, Shannon and I were talking earlier about how we did a podcast about our first times, and she was actually saying it might be good to get a female perspective on this subject, because right now it's just a sausage fest, and now we can get like a flower and not pay the sausages.
Do you think we could get Shannon to come on and actually do that? Oh, look, here she comes now.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey, Shannon, we were just talking about you. So, good things. Good things, I swear. You want to tell us about your first time having sex?
I could do that. Okay, so let me paint the scene here for you guys. It's like 1996, all right? I don't know if you guys were even born then.
That's like 20 years ago.
That was quite some time ago,
I was
yes.
6 years old.
You were 6. I was 14.
I was 6 years old.
You're
So I was 14 years old.
That was your first time?
First time.
That's pretty young.
It was pretty young, but it was with my boyfriend. We were together for like 7 years after that, so it's okay. So, all right, let me paint a picture for you. So I'm 14, and when I was younger, it was always a big deal to like big up sex. Like even if you were a virgin, it was actually cooler to not be a virgin. So like me and my friends spent like a lot of good time like building a reputation of not being virgins. So, and you never really thought your first time would be with the guy you were bigging yourself up to in a group of people. My luck, I just happened to start dating one of them. So at this point, I had already lied and said that I wasn't a virgin. It was a lie. I had zero knowledge about sex. So...
This is pre-internet, right?
Oh, yeah. This is about the time when you would get, like, the AOL CDs in the mail, and you could, like, put it in your computer and get, like, 1,000 free hours of internet.
1996 was still black and white TV, right?
You know, we had a few colored stations. You know, there was like a couple movies, but you know, it was nice. But more so, definitely no internet. So you were definitely like VHSing your porn.
Right.
Like, you know, and you had to remember where it was so that like your dad and mom didn't know you touched their porn. You have to rewind it to where they left off. But you know, anyway. So, but I was never really good at that. So I really didn't know what I was doing for my first time. So
and how was the sex ed?
Oh man, my
non-existent.
My gym teacher was actually the health sex educator, and he was a typical like gym teacher guy who was just like, if you have your period, you can't go to the bathroom. If you have to go to the bathroom, you can't go to the bathroom. And if you have to piss yourself in class, piss yourself in class. He was that kind of guy.
That's a typical gym teacher?
That was in my school, yes. That was a typical gym teacher.
Now, was your school in Auschwitz?
No, it was in Revere, Mass. It is, you know, the Bloods and the Crips and all the good fun stuff, you know. That was my school.
Good fun crime.
It was a good fun, and the gym teacher was, I'd say he was a little strict on the bathroom thing. So he was not very helpful as far as that kind of stuff goes. But of course you always hear stories from, you know, your girlfriends who also don't know anything about sex. So anyway, I start dating this guy, you know, it's maybe we've been together for a couple weeks, and he says casually, do you want to take your pants off? And I'm all, not really. They're like cold in here and the ACs are really high. Like, I don't know why would you want me to take my pants off? Like, I'm not even thinking about what's about to happen. And we have like, you know, Marilyn Manson's playing in the background, lovely love song of the beautiful people or whatever Manson song it was at the time. And, some starts moving around in his pants, and I'm still not even quite sure what the hell is happening right now. At this point, I'm a little lost. So I take my pants off, and I'm like, okay, I have on really cute underwear. Let's take our pants off. So I take my pants off, and I sit there. And I just sit there. And I'm sitting there. And I'm sitting there. And then finally he looks at me, and he says, did you want to take off your underwear? Okay, I'm thinking to myself, why the hell would I want to take off my underwear? Like, I thought we were checking out my underwear in the black light. Like, I don't even understand what's happening at this point. Sex is about to happen at this point, but I still have no clue. Okay, so, we get there. He then takes his pants off, and there's not, like, any kissing or any, like, leading up to. There's just a lot of, like, do you want to take this off? And why aren't you taking that off? And I was very confused. So, okay, so we finally get to the act, you could say. And I'm lying there pretty stiff because, again, I had lied about not being a virgin, and I was. So
now, did he know that you were lying, or
no? He did not know I was lying.
He didn't think you were. Oh God.
No. But as we all know, in which I did not know at the time, it is very telltale when you are a virgin. Things break and things bleed. So that happened. So I thought I was dying because I was bleeding from the inside. I thought he broke something and I had internal bleeding.
Like, were you confused when you like first put it in? You're like, what are you doing?
He was more confused than me, I think, because he was like, wait a minute. Because he had actually had sex before. He had actually had gotten his previous girlfriend pregnant. Different story. She was pregnant.
Sounds like a very similar story.
Right. Oh, right. So he knew what he was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. But then he quickly figured out I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm literally lying on my back just staring at the digital clock on the, his little counter or whatever, because I used to get grounded for 1 week every minute I was late home. So my main concern during this first time was it's 5:13, and I remember the time like it was yesterday, and it was 5:13, and I had to leave his house by 5:30. So I'm watching it, and I remember at about 5:16, I tap him on the shoulder and I ask, how long do we do this for? Because I have to leave in a few minutes. And he looks at me and he says, well, until whoever finishes first. And so
it's a race.
I didn't know there was an ending process. Like, I didn't know what an orgasm was. I didn't know that the female I didn't know that the man needed to finish.
Most people still don't know that women orgasm.
So he says, whoever finishes first. So I get up and I start getting dressed and I said, well, I guess I'm finished because I have to go home now. So I'm going to go home and I'll see you later. And he sat there very bewildered, and I still didn't know that wasn't quite sex. And the next day I come over and he says, do you mind if we finish what we were doing yesterday? And I was kind of horrified. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you want to do it again? And he was like, well, I never finished. And I was like, well, you kept going? Like, in my head, I'm like, you kept going on yourself all night? What do you mean you're not finished? Like, what do you mean you're not finished? You're not doing it right now, so you're finished. Like, you're finished because you're not doing it. Like, I was fucking confused as all bloody hell. So then, literally, my boyfriend had to sit me down and explain to me what an orgasm was, and I was fucking disgusted and horrified. I could not even bear to have sex again for, months. And when we did, the same thing happened. I did not quite understand what an orgasm was, and I lay there watching the clock because I had to leave by 5:30, and for some reason, we kept doing it at 5:13. And always around 5:17, I'd start getting nervous, and I would be like, okay, I'm finished. I finished first. And I would get up and put my pants on, and I would go home. And it wasn't until maybe 7 months into the relationship I found out that's not what sex was. And that's the problem with children having sex.
Yeah, were you like... So after the first time, you're like, I'm not a virgin anymore. Did that really hit you at all? Or
I was like, not a virgin anymore. It really hurts. And I'm actually, a little unsure of sex. Like, I was pretty much like sex was gross. I was almost back into cootie stage of boys. I was pretty horrified by the whole process.
To be fair, boys do have cooties, though.
Yes. I was horrified. I was 14 and I was horrified. I definitely didn't know what I was doing. And it definitely didn't make it feel special in any way. It was awkward and a little embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, that is pretty weird how he went about it. Just kind of like, hey.
It didn't explain much, Just kind of let it happen.
Oh, want to take off your pants?
My whole concern was I just wonder what was going through his head when, after 4 minutes, I would, put my pants back on and be like, okay, I'm finished because I have to leave. Why wouldn't he ever really say, well, I don't mean, when you feel like you're finished. There's finished. So that took a while. Definitely, that was my first time. It wasn't at all glamorous or passionate or beautiful or beachy with sand, and it's not what you think it's going to be.
I feel really bad for anybody who lost their virginity in sand.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
yeah. We were just trying to make, like, the bed not squeak, and that was just too much pressure. Too much pressure. Parents in the other room, too much pressure.
Was there a cinder block?
There was not a cinder block, but there were weights in the
Okay.
room. There were a weight set available, and there was a weight bench also available. Other story.
this might be a bit personal question, but we're already gone there, so, were you, like, at all turned on by this, or were you
No,
just
the
kind of...
first time I was not turned on because I was so nervous. I didn't know what was going on. The second time I was even more nervous because I still didn't know what the hell was going on. And by the third or fourth, I just kind of laid there and was realizing that I probably was not that into sex.
Oh, man, that sounds pretty,
And I hate to say it about the person that I was first having my time with, but it took maybe my next relationship after that to feel very much intrigued and into sexual relationship stuff like that.
You were with him for 7 years?
Yeah.
It took you 7 years of having sex with him to get into sex?
He was like my first boyfriend, so you gotta realize I was 13, and I was with him until I was 20. So I wasn't physically attracted to him after a certain point. When I was 13, I thought he was great, and then as we got older, physical appearances changed. We changed. I wasn't really attracted to him anymore. So I never had like that passionate, lusty experience with him, unfortunately. And it wasn't until my second, when I was 20 years old, my relationship, that I realized, oh, sex is great. It took 6.5 years to figure that out. It's not always instant. There's not always like a great connection,
If you could talk to your past self right before that happened or right after, what would you have to say? Because maybe there's somebody else who has something similar going on in their life.
I would say wait for them to say they're finished if you're not sure who's finishing first, is what I would tell myself. I would ask questions. I would have asked questions.
You think that would have made it better, though? I mean,
I'd be like, excuse me, Deb, are you finished? Because I don't know if I am. It's hard to explain an orgasm to someone. It's just mind-blowing who has no clue what sex process is. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah. I mean, things are a lot different for girls than for men.
It'd be like, your vagina's gonna sneeze. Okay, thanks. I guess I tell myself something like that.
For guys, it's like very kind of like
That's how it feels.
obvious, but I don't know what things are like for girls. Like,
your vagina's gonna sneeze.
it's gonna. See, that doesn't
But
make
you're
any
trying to
sense.
hold it in. You know that feeling when the sun makes you sneeze and you try not to look and then you try to block it? It's kind of a lot of that
We're comparing
before it
sneezing-
happens. It's like
You're not the first woman I've heard explain orgasming as sneezing.
So this
I'm
is
not joking. Like, that's
it's that,
literally the way
it's
I've heard
that
it
whole
explained
like catch your
multiple
breath, catch your breath, catch your breath, like that almost like gratifying, awesome, like defiant sneeze. Like, yeah, fuck you, sneeze.
I still don't know if we're talking about orgasm right now because this doesn't sound
Steve
like.
gets it.
times. I definitely...
So it's like you have to sneeze and you orgasm.
Yeah, I get. See, you don't get it.
Yeah,
But
you
see,
just-
that's why it
you
would
just
be
don't
hard
get it.
for myself to go back in time and talk to myself about it because you have to be there quite a few many times to get it down of how to explain it.
It's kind of like an itch that you don't scratch, and then you scratch it. It's like, oh yeah, that feels good. No.
The sneezing didn't do it for you. You gotta make it an itch now.
It's like when you like if you're like that tickle you get in your nose and you huff up a little bit before you sneeze. It's the build up. It's the adrenaline before you release
So
your
it's like
sneeze.
if instead of sneezing, I just orgasm and just came everywhere.
Basically, your vagina sneezes and you.
Okay, I'm just gonna have to accept this on your word.
We'll just refer to orgasm as vagina sneezes from now on. So, trademark vagina sneeze. Thank you.
The trademark comes after.
Fucking trademark. Trademark vagina sneeze. Trademark. Double trademark. Bitch.
Perfect. I think that now legally
It's its
belongs
own
to you.
thing.
That's the legal process.
Okay, so
Call it a dick cough. I don't know. Be equal, all
Dick cough
equality.
and vagina sneezes.
Dick coughing and vagina sneezing. First time, you know.
Content you will only get on We Need to Talk.
If somebody said, you know, by finished, I mean wait till your vagina sneezes, I actually would have known that I wasn't finished because my vagina did not sneeze. So I would have known. So that would be the advice I give myself.
I think
Wait
that
for
your
the
past
vagina
self
sneeze.
really appreciates that. And if I can ever go back in time, I will bring your past self this recording.
Thank you.
You fuck Hitler's dad in the ass.
No, that'll come after.
Oh, okay.
And by that I mean he will come after. Oh!
Ooh.
Did you just lose your We Need to Talk virginity? Well, leave us a rating on iTunes. Also, you can hit us up on Twitter. We're at WNT1 or, Facebook, We Need to Talk Show. And also, we are on YouTube, Patreon, all these different places. You can find us on, places. Just look us up. Like I said. Oh, so until next time.